Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live chat. As always, as I just said, this is a live chat, so I will be finding the chat room and talking directly to you, the people who matter in all of this. So I'll be trying to read and answer as many viewer questions and comments as possible, but I have a few stories, mostly Queen Elizabeth II related, for today. So I am going to be discussing what Andrew Morton has come out and said today about Elizabeth's reign effectively being over. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to talk about the Duchess of Cambridge, who has given us an update on her Hold Still project. We're going to be talking about the Queen's Historic Carers Trust video message. Also, a little update on Trooping the Colour. And also, the Queen has selected her favourite horses. So we're going to be talking about all those stories. And of course, I'll be answering any viewer comments and queries. First of all, before we delve in as to why I categorically disagree with Andrew Morton, and I can't believe he's even said what he said, but we'll get into that. I'm going to find the chat room and say hello to everybody, and hello to all of the channel members. Thank you so much for joining this channel and becoming a channel member. Supporting beyond watching the videos really does help to keep this channel going, so thank you so much. Right, I'm going to go to the article. So sorry if I'm kind of talking at you for a little while, but I want to read exactly what he has said. So, the Queen, Andrew Morton has said the Queen's reign is effectively over due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the virus practically putting Charles on the throne. A royal biographer has claimed. Well, first of all, let me just dissect that first little sentence. So, yes, we have had the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, the royal family have not been able to do their engagements the way they would normally do them face to face. You know, the royal walkabouts, visiting the hospitals, visiting the charities, doing the work on the ground has not been able to take place. But I stress, that is the same for all of them. It's the same for the Queen, it's the same for Prince Charles, it's the same for Camilla, it's the same for all the other younger royals as well. What we have seen as an example of with all the younger royals is that maybe they've helped out, you know, delivering food or packing food, that kind of thing. But there has been no, you know, actual physical, you know, visits, any actual physical engagements. But the work of the monarchy has continued. They have found new avenues, new outlets to connect with the people. Like I said, you know, in that first sentence, it says that it's effectively put Charles on, you know, on the throne. Prince Charles, because of his age and following government advice, has had to, you know, has been stuck up at Burke Hall in Scotland all this time. So Charles has been doing and conducting his work mostly via video link, letters, that kind of thing, virtually. The Queen has also been carrying out her role, you know, virtually. She's been doing, you know, she's been doing her telephone conversations with the Prime Minister. She has still been fulfilling all of the duties and functions of state that she would normally do. Her red boxes are still coming. So it angers me greatly to hear of Andrew Morton saying that her reign is effectively over. Let me carry on. So if you didn't know, Andrew Morton is the author of Diana, Her True Story. And of course, if you remember that book, it was an unauthorized biography that turned out to be, you know, the actual source was Diana herself. Anyway, so it comes, this Andrew Morton speaks out after it comes of reports that because of COVID-19, Her Majesty, who is now 94, may remain in self-isolation for months and never return to regular frontline royal duties as the government continues to ease the restrictions in coming weeks. It is true, she is 94. I am not disputing that. And it is true that we are going to have to live with the, you know, with a very different way of life going forward. Maybe maybe for many years to come. Because of the Queen's age, there is the potential that she may never return to, a physical meeting people type of engagement. However, I will specify that, her mother lived until 101. So at 94, I pretty much imagine that the Queen, is going to outlive Corona. So no, I don't think that she will never return to frontline royal duties. But what you also have to try and understand is what is classed as a frontline duty. If you mean face to face, then possibly. But although I do think Corona will be over by the time I don't think the Queen is going to leave us anytime soon. But the Queen's reign is not effectively over. Think about Queen Victoria. After Prince Albert died for about 20-30 years, she became a recluse. In fact, there was criticism of the day. Where is our Queen? That has not happened in Queen Elizabeth's reign. But even then, in Victoria's day, even behind the scenes, the function of monarchy was still being carried out. She was still performing all of her duties. Rubber stamping things into law, signing away laws, holding, weekly regular meetings with the Prime Minister, receiving those red boxes. Her Majesty has been doing all of those things, like Queen Victoria, even in lockdown. And in fact, Her Majesty has the added benefit of all of the different ways that we can now communicate. I think it's very, very Victorian of Andrew Morton to claim that the Queen's reign is effectively over. It is not. The Queen is finding new ways, the royal family is finding new ways to engage in lockdown. In fact, I read one article proclaiming Prince Charles, the king of Instagram, about how much he has embraced social media and video messaging during these times. Apparently, his video message posts have been getting hundreds of thousands of more likes and views and shares than what a regular face-to-face engagement ever got. So, has the royal family's way of doing engagements changed forever because of the coronavirus? Yes, quite possibly. But has it been changed in the negative way that Andrew Morton is proclaiming it to be? No, I do not think so. I think now Prince Charles has actually found that through the medium of social media, he can actually reach more people. He can get more likes. He can get more shares doing a video message sat in his office with those beautiful array of books behind him, I might add, than what he ever could doing a physical engagement. So, the Queen is likely to do even more video messages. We have an example today. The Queen has just, released her first official, obviously it's not her first, but her first public engagement where she attended a carers trust video message. She gave a few words at the end, but she listened in. That was actually recorded as an actual physical engagement that is recorded in the court circular. That was an official engagement. So the Queen is not going to be invisible as Queen Victoria was for all those years. Prince Charles and the Queen and the rest of the royal family will probably work a little bit differently, but it in no way means that the Queen's reign is over. Andrew Morton is categorically wrong, and I am completely angered by what he said. Anyway, let's carry on. Yes, it is true the Queen has put her public engagements on hold while she resides with Philip at Windsor Castle. Speaking to the Telegraph, Morton claimed, "It's terribly sad, but I can't see how the Queen can resume her job. The COVID-19 virus isn't going away soon and will be with us for months, if not years." Does Andrew Morton even know what the Queen's job is? The Queen's primary job is not actually to go out and meet people. The Queen's job is actually to sign off the government's laws, she's head of the Commonwealth. The Queen's job is actually all the backroom stuff that you don't see, the slew of red boxes that come in daily. That is the Queen's actual job. Opening Parliament, all that kind of thing is the Queen's job. And yes, she may send, for the next opening of Parliament, she may send Charles to represent her. But, or she may even be able to do it if things are socially distanced enough. But anyway, the Queen is able to carry out the primary functions. What are the red boxes? The red boxes are government papers. They come in daily. So everything that goes on in Parliament, if you're American, I suppose a bit like Congress, I suppose, comes to the Queen. The Queen reads them. She knows exactly what's going on in Parliament, what the ministers are discussing, and if there are any government documents about laws that have been agreed in Parliament, she signs them into law. They are not law until she has signed them and rubber stamped them. She is privy to exactly what goes on in Parliament. The Prime Ministers who meet her, new Prime Ministers, are always amazed at how much she knows what's going on. They cannot pull the wool over the Queen's eyes. She is clued up. She knows exactly what's going on. So that is the primary function of monarchy. Not to go to a hospital and shake hands. That's the nice stuff. That's the icing on the cake stuff. So the Queen's reign is not over. Face-to-face meetings, possibly for the next couple of years until they get a vaccine. But no, the Queen's reign is not over. And I think it's very irresponsible of Andrew Morton to put that out there. He said the brutal truth is that her reign is effectively over. Well, it's not. And that COVID-19 has done more damage to the monarchy than Oliver Cromwell. Okay, the COVID-19 has not done any damage to the monarchy. As I explained before, they have found new ways of interacting with the public that have actually got more likes, more shares, more attention than anything before. So COVID-19 has not damaged the monarchy. COVID-19 has made the monarchy rethink how it does things to go into the future. And how dare he compare COVID-19 to Oliver Cromwell's, bringing down the monarchy for, 11, 12 years? You cannot compare the monarchy being abolished, the abolition of the monarchy in Oliver Cromwell's day, to COVID-19, where the monarchy has actually thrived. People are seeing more and more and more and more of the monarchy. What he has said is just a complete load of nonsense. He told the Sun newspaper he fears the Queen, whose schedule is not expected to resume until the autumn, may never be able to return to her regular duties and will most likely be seen on TV or video rather than in public. Well, yes, she will be seen in video links and TV, but that does not mean that her reign is effectively over. We do not have a regency. Last month, a spokeswoman for Buckingham Palace said, the Queen continues to be busy conducting a weekly audience with the Prime Minister by phone and receiving her daily red boxes of government papers. They added that Her Majesty will follow appropriate advice on engagements and is keeping in touch with her family by phone and video calls. There we go. Yeah, and I'm not going to read any more of it because it's mind-boggling that a so-called royal biographer should actually even say that, because you cannot put that out there. And I categorically, strongly, wholeheartedly disagree with every single word that he has written, and that has been published and probably will be regurgitated everywhere. The Queen's reign is not effectively over. Oh, right. My goodness, I need to take a breath. I need a drink of tea, which I don't have. My water bottle is empty. Right. Okay. Yes, Carolyn, she must give what's known as royal assent, which means that she approves the proposed law. Yes, so the government makes the law, the parliament, hammers things out and prepares the law, decides them, passes them, and the Queen royal assents them or sends them into law. They are not law until the Queen has signed them off. Miriam says, I imagine Morton is interested in drumming up business for his books. You said it, not me. Right, okay. I'm going to move on to the next story, which is a nice one. Can we have a nice story now? I think we can. Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, has released a video message submitted via the National Portrait Gallery. Now, we spoke about her project, #HoldStill. So this project is designed to preserve the memory, like a bit like a visual time capsule of life during COVID-19. Regular people have been invited to take photographs of their life in lockdown, and there are different categories that you can submit in. So Catherine has released a message imploring people it's not too late to submit your entries, and the best ones will be put to a panel and will be chosen. And I think she has included a few photographs of some of her favourite ones, and some of the photographs are really, really touching. We see a grandma, pressing her hand against the glass window with her grandchild's hand, obviously because they can't meet. We see exhausted National Health Service workers falling asleep during their break times. We see somebody working at home with her child sprawled on the floor in like a sea of mess because obviously schools aren't open. Working from home and having to deal with home education. It really is an amazing project which will form, like I said, a kind of virtual, visual, photographic time capsule of the times that we are living in, and there is still time to enter. Catherine still wants to see all of the best entries. So if you haven't seen that video, do go and watch it. I think they put it up on the royal family Twitter and Instagram as well. So do go and check that out. If you have an I think you have to be in the UK, I think. But yeah, do go and check that out. Right. Going down to another point, the Queen's carers message. So this is quite historic because the Queen, we know, has been doing these video messages and links behind the scenes, but this one has actually been made public, and it shows the Queen. I think it was filmed in the Oak Room at Windsor Castle, and she was listening to the conversation going in, and it just seems really amazing to see the Queen sat there in her sitting room in a beautiful floral dress with a pearl necklace, hair immaculate as always, looking youthful, looking vibrant, definitely not looking like her reign is over, Andrew Morton. Yeah, looking amazing. And she said, interesting listening to all of your tales and stories by what you have achieved already. I am so grateful to have been able to have joined you today. Yeah, I mean, the Queen, has been working. This was recorded as a proper official engagement. Keeping your ears to the ground. The royal family is finding new ways of connecting and staying in touch. So I like to think the release of that is a bit of a slap in the face to Andrew Morton. It's like, my reign is not effectively over, thank you. And there we go. We see a beautiful, very engaged looking Queen who most definitely hasn't effectively handed the throne over to Prince Charles. Just saying, it's like the Queen doing another mic drop, isn't it? It's like, do you remember when Harry did the mic drop with the Queen? It's a bit like the Queen just did her own mic drop, isn't it? So well done, Your Majesty, for slapping those haters down. I think that was really, really good of you. Right. So we have confirmation about the Queen's official birthday parade, Trooping the Colour, Saturday the 13th of June 2020. As we know, things will be very, very different this year, not the usual spectacle that we have. But we do know that the Queen will view a military ceremony in the quadrangle of Windsor Castle. which marks Her Majesty's official birthday on Saturday the 13th of June. The ceremony will be executed by soldiers from the 1st Battalion Welsh Guards, who are currently on guard at Windsor Castle, and feature music performed by the band of the Household Division. Upon Her Majesty's arrival in the quadrangle, the Queen will be greeted by a royal salute. So we now know that the Queen will not just be watching from a window, she will actually be in the quadrangle, obviously distanced from anyone else. No real, no crowds, no spectators, as the band plays. And the ceremony will conclude with a second salute before the Queen's departure. We do not know how long this changed Trooping in the Colour will be, but at least, as I said, Andrew Morton, the functions of monarchy carry on. The Queen's formal birthday salute parade will go ahead. Her reign is effectively not over. So yes, the birthday parade will take place with strict social distancing. It will all happen behind the private walls of Windsor Castle. The military parade will not parade through the streets of Windsor, and the public is asked to not come to Windsor because there won't be anything to see. Everything will be taking place inside the castle grounds. It's expected the rest of the royal family will not be there. The Queen is just expected to watch herself. Now, a few weeks ago, I did kind of I heard talk that this may be televised, that the BBC may be allowed to put cameras up and actually broadcast it. I haven't heard anything since, so I'm really hoping that this very historic Trooping in the Colour, because this is the most different Trooping in the Colour that we've ever had, I'm hoping that those rumours are true and that it will be televised, because I think we need a little bit of a spectacle, and I think it will give a little bit of relief to people to see a little bit of pomp and circumstance. And like I said, this is historic. The fact that Trooping the Colour has had to be relocated. It's normally Horse Guards Parade in London. Needed the Horse Guards. And this is really historic, and it would be amazing to actually see such a change. So I'm hoping that it very, very much is televised, as I heard it might be. HM the King is predicting that Her Majesty will arrive via golf caddy. Who knows? Maybe she'll be riding a great steed into battle against Andrew Morton. Yes. Suzanne read 10:30 a.m. on the BBC. That's what I heard. So I'm hoping that is the case. Annette says, has the Queen phoned him? No, she won't stop again. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about with that one. I'm going up. HM the King says, wonder if the Queen sets up the Zoom call by herself. Maybe Angela does it. Maybe Angela does that one. Angela Kelly. Jan says, Andrew Morton is wrong. Her Majesty will not retire. The royal family are pulling together to protect her health. Quite right, indeed. And the reign is most definitely not over, seriously. Right, okay, I am... HM the King says, will she wear chainmail? Well, imagine a scene like Elizabeth I when she went into battle against the Spanish Armada, where she said, I may have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king. And she was dressed in the metal body armour. She roused her troops into battle. She gave them the resignation to win. And so they did, so they prevailed. I would love to see the Queen in chainmail going into battle against all the lies and the rumours and the mistruths. That would be amazing. HM the King says, this is the COVID Armada. It is indeed. Right. I think I've raved and ranted a little bit too much today. I've done it on all channels. So, I am going to leave you all. I need a very, very strong cup of tea. And yes, it's always nice to be validated, isn't it, YouTube? So I'm going to go now. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also, oh yes, hang on, Jamie reminded me the Queen's horses. I nearly forgot. Right, I did forget. I completely forgot. Right, yeah, the Queen's horses. Thank you for reminding me. I nearly went. I actually nearly went. So, this is a story that came out today, and it's been published in the rather kind of posh magazine, The Horse and Hound. Now, you know that you're a little bit posh if you read The Horse and Hound. I may have to start having it delivered. But anyway, the Queen has actually selected 13 of her favourite horses for Horse and Hound magazine. Now, as we know, the Queen has a very, 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 very humongous love of horses, and she has a very strong connection with her stud groom and manager at Windsor Castle, who is known as Terry Pendry. He's the guy that you often see riding with her when she's at Windsor, when she's photographed in Windsor Great Park, riding. We've seen the picture of her recently riding her beloved fell pony, Emma. And, you know, the Queen's passion for horses has always shone through. She always looks the most happiest when she is with her horses. And she is said to be a living encyclopedia of all things equine. So now the monarch has chosen her favourite steeds from the 7 decades of her reign for Horse and Hound magazine. Among them are 8 special horses that she and her family have loved riding and watching, plus 5 of the most memorable racehorses of all time that she has bred and owned. Now, the choice of each horse reveals a deeply personal connection from the memory of her late father, King George VI, to the very special moment when Princess Anne won the European Eventing Championships on a horse bred by the Queen, and also the racehorse that won Royal Ascot Gold Cup, the first win for a reigning monarch. So, the 2 of the men that know her best when it comes to horses, as I said, are the Queen's stud groom and manager at Windsor Castle, Terry Pendry, and John Warren, who is her bloodstock and racing advisor. And they have also explained the reasons for her choices in consultation with Her Majesty and illustrated them with some previously unseen photographs, which unfortunately I can't show you, but you can, I think, get the Horse and Hound online as well. Right, so Mr. Pendry writes, the Queen breeds racehorses, carriage horses, hunters, sports and riding horses, and polo ponies. And also, back in the day, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh was playing at a very high level. She obviously reared horses for eventing. Her knowledge and expertise is well known. She names all of the horses and ponies herself and can remember the parentage and line of every single one. She still rides to this very day, as we have seen, and it is an important part of her life. Her Majesty has a fountain of knowledge in all things equine. You might say a living encyclopedia. So let's just, the Queen bred both the horse and the rider, jokes Mr. Pendry, of the Queen's selection of riding horses, including Doublet, the horse ridden by Princess Anne when she won the European Eventing Championships. Right, so let's just kind of go down. I'm trying to find the part where it explains. Right, so what happened? What happened was Terry Pendry was approached by Horse and Hound to give some of his favourite horses, and he must have spoke to the Queen about this request. And the reporter from the Horse and Hound was surprised when Terry Pendry turned around and said, Her Majesty would like to do it herself. She actually wants to make the selection or make a contribution to the selection herself. Obviously, the Queen was like, well, no, excuse me, I want to pick my favourite horses, thank you very much. So she did, and the Horse and Hound reporter, of course, was very surprised that she wanted to do that. But I'm not surprised at all. The Queen, is a great equestrian. So Her favourite horses, who are they? We have a horse called Betsy. So Betsy is a black-brown mare that Her Majesty used to ride in the 1960s. I'm laughing because I know somebody called Betsy. I know a Betsy, and to be described as a black-brown mare kind of made me laugh. But anyway, Her Majesty used to ride in the 1960s. Betsy was full of character and spirit. She is indeed the one that I know as well. And much loved by the Queen, comments head groom Terry Pendry. As is my Betsy, most loved by me as well. Then we have Burmese. Burmese, which Jamie's laughing. Burmese was presented to Her Majesty in 1969 by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the Queen rode her in Trooping the Colour for 18 years. Burmese was indeed a very, very special horse. Doublet or Doublet is a favourite, bred as a polo pony, and the horse that Princess Anne won the European eventing championships at Burghley in 1971. The Queen is said to have bred both the horse and the rider, writes Mr. Pendry. Columbus was sired by horse colonist Winston Churchill's stallion. Princess Anne first evented Columbus, but found him too strong. Too strong for Princess Anne to control? I don't suppose there's many that Princess Anne has found too strong to control. But he was a favourite of her ex-husband, Captain Mark Phillips. Ooh, perhaps Columbus is the only one to get the better of Princess Anne. Right. He won badminton in 1974, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, always said he was the grand national horse that never was. She would have loved him for herself, Mr. Pendry writes. Sanction was another horse, a brown riding horse, and a firm favourite for many years. Sanction was almost telepathic and had a very strong bond with Her Majesty. Sanction was the last homebred horse that Her Majesty rode before making the decision to start riding native ponies, a little closer to the ground, so to speak, her head groom says. So Sanction was the last full-size horse before she changed to ponies, obviously, concessions of age. Balmoral Jingle and Balmoral Curlew. I haven't heard of these. So Jingle and Curlew were two Highland ponies who were both a huge success in the show ring and eventually went on to become brood mares at the Balmorals. I love this equestrian terminology, don't you? Emma, the fell pony, has been a wonderful servant to the Queen and is still going strong at the age of 24. I didn't know Emma was 24. I didn't. I've learnt something. It's one of the Queen's riding ponies. Her full name is Carlton Lima Emma. The Queen adores the solid little breed so much she has become patron of the Fell Pony Society. So the Queen's top 5 favourite racehorses are Ariole. Ariole was bred by King George VI and was the first horse the Queen inherited from her father. Her Majesty has chosen Ariole as one of her most memorable horses as an addition to him becoming the Queen's first top-class, exciting racehorse. Ariole stood at the Sandringham Stud throughout his whole career as a stallion, where he sired many top-class horses, and that was written by John Warren. Dutel is a chestnut stallion and was the first top-class horse by the Queen in her own right, winning as many races. He also retired to the Sandringham Stud, where his career was tragically cut all too short, dying at the age of only 8. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's sad. Highclere was a dual classic winner, winning both the 1,000 guineas and Prix de Diane in Paris, in front of an enormous delighted Persian crowd, who famously chanted, "Vive la Reine!" writes Mr. Warren. Vive la Reine! Phantom Gold is the great-granddaughter of the Queen's superb broodmare, Amicable, winner of the Ribblesdale at Royal Ascot, St. Simon and Geoffrey Freer Stakes. This remarkable mare, I'd love to be described as a remarkable mare, wouldn't you? Will inevitably continue to be at the core of the Royal Studs broodmare band for future generations to enjoy and nurture. Sorry, I just had a thought. I'm laughing. Estimate says is a bay filly. Oh, I love this terminology. A bay filly who won the Ascot Gold Cup at the royal meeting as a 4-year-old. No reigning monarch had won the Gold Cup, and it gave Her Majesty great pleasure in achieving an ambition to breed such a great horse of true stamina and grit. Sounds like Princess Anne. Her racing manager says. Yes. So there we go. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I've missed out before I go. No, I think it's fine. Also, I don't know if there's going to be a fly past for Trooping the Colour. Could there be a fly past as well? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they may. What if they do a fly past Windsor Castle? I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. That is all of my stories done now. I almost did a false goodbye. But anyway, I'm going to go now. So if you've enjoyed this chat, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media. And also do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. And also, of course, do make sure you are subscribed to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye. You